Shavkat Rakhmonov thinks it's a shame that Kamaru Usman is asking for a title shot after 3 consecutive losses. Usman first lost the belt to Leon Edwards via head kick KO in 2022, then lost the rematch to Leon a year later via majority decision. Usman then fought Khamzat Chimaev on short notice at middleweight and lost a controversial majority decision. Speaking to Submission Radio, Shavkat said, "I don't know what he's thinking about. Like, I think it's kind of a shame to ask for a title shot after losing 3 fights straight. Like, in my head, I cannot get my head around it. But yeah, it is what it is. There's a few good guys in the division who are very close to a title shot. I could say that Jack Della Maddalena, Ian Garry, maybe they should fight each other, and the winner should be next for the title after me." Joe Rogan has high praise for Ilia Topuria. Joe reacted to this specific video of Ilia hitting pads. On the Joe Rogan Experience, Joe said one of the things that's phenomenal about him is his technique. His technique is perfect. There's no fat in his technique. There's no wasted movements, so when an opportunity presents itself, everything is so fast because the technique is so streamlined. Look at how he hits the pads. And when you watch how he hits pads, Floyd Mayweather is a great example of that as well. Some of the best hands in the sport. Current UFC featherweight champion and knocked out Alexander Volkanovski, who's maybe the greatest of all time. See how he's moving his head when guy throws punches, slipping just slightly? The speed, man. The f***ing speed of that. Look at that hand speed. F***ing incredible. If you know how difficult that is to do and do it that fast, I mean, these are like 5-6 punches a second, and just phenomenal technique. Stephen Thompson says that he'd love to fight Ian Garry, but he doesn't think Ian would give him a chance. He also discusses a potential fight with Michael Venom Page. Wonderboy is currently scheduled to fight Joaquin Buckley at UFC 307. Wonderboy said, "I think it would be great, especially Ian Garry. But at this point in time, I kind of see where he's at. Like, he's just looking for the gold. I don't even think he would want to give me a chance. I'm ranked number 9. He's close to the title. I think he's looking for that next. An MVP, I think the fans would love that fight. That's the thing. I think it would just be that. Just moving around and staring at each other the whole time. We're both counter strikers, you know? But we got that karate background. We want guys to come forward so they run into our techniques, so we can work our angles, so we can blitz. But when you have another counter striker on the other side of the octagon with you, it could possibly be one of the most boring fights ever, and I think people would boo it. I think people would boo that fight. I really do, man. What made the Ian Garry fight so special and exciting was Ian Garry just came forward. He wanted to come forward. He wanted to get close, which can play into MVP's hands. But obviously Ian Garry got the best of him that night. I would love to have that fight with Ian Garry for sure, but I think he's just going to go for the title. But I don't mind fighting these young bucks like Joaquin Buckley and Kevin Holland and all of these guys. It's fun to still test myself against these guys coming up. Israel Adesanya's coach Eugene Behrman says the loss to Dricus Du Plessis is easier to take than the loss to Sean Strickland. Behrman said you can't take anything away from Dricus. He's got underrated defense, underrated offense. People are so used to watching some of the prettiest and technical strikers that they immediately discredit other people that don't look like that blueprint. They fail to see the genius in what they're doing. It was a very close fight, and at the end of the day, Israel fatigued. I'm not sure if Israel's ever been submitted. I can't remember. That position, Israel's done that 1,000 times and got out of it 1,000 times. What causes that is the opponent putting pressure on you, pushes you to a place where you're fatigued. You know what to do, but your brain's not working and your body's not responding because you're so fatigued. That's fighting. That's what makes it such an interesting sport, is that you're working at the highest level under all this duress. Sometimes it gets the better of you, and it got the better of Israel. The Strickland loss, he'll never get over. You just fought badly, and it was unexplainable. It's intangible. It's not measurable what caused it. You just go down a rabbit hole of a million things. But the Dricus fight, he was doing well. It was a great contest, and he got outmaneuvered. He got outdone. You can figure out exactly what happened, follow the path, figure out what went wrong, and it's very traceable. Those losses are much more easier to figure out, rather than the unexplained sort of losses that kind of have you scratching your head a little bit. So he's fine in that respect. Any loss is hard, but trust me, this one's a lot easier to take than the Strickland one. Kayla Harrison says that she's impressed with Alex Pereira's judo skills. Kayla says it's crazy how fast Alex picks things up. Speaking to MMAfighting.com, Kayla said a yellow belt is a joke, obviously. You don't normally give adults yellow belts, so that was part of it. And to be fair to him, he was showing me the videos of him training, and he was kicking ass. I wish that he would release this one. Oh my god. He did the move that I taught him, and then he did the move you do if that move doesn't work. I was like, dude, you look like a judoka. It's crazy how fast he picks stuff up. He looked like a legit judo player. He foot swept the shit out of this kid, like slipping on a banana peel, so I gave him a yellow belt as a joke. He's literally living his best life, isn't he? He doesn't speak English, but his character comes across. I think that's what makes a superstar special. You can feel their aura and their character. I don't even know if you call it charisma, but that thing, he has charisma. I'm just happy for him. When you hear his story, and when you hear, he probably doesn't talk about it a lot, but he was an alcoholic and he started competing. Dude, that's badass. I just love to see it. Ben Askren believes Belal Muhammad is getting the better of Kamaru Usman in terms of trash talking. Ben tells Daniel Cormier that he believes Usman is over the hill in his career.
Are you watching what's happening here?
I actually kind of think Belal's getting the better of him on the trash talk.
But okay, even though he's getting the better of him, is Belal Muhammad speaking Kamaru Usman into a title fight? Did you see the video he put up today?
I mean, you know, one way that someone could look at this, right, is that Usman has a big name. He's a former champion, one of the longest reigning welterweight champions. It's, you know, him, Tyron, and Georges are the three longer reigning welterweight champions. Leon's gonna have to win a few more to get into that category. And so one of the ways that Belal could see it is this is a guy who has a big name, who held the belt for a while, and now he's over the hill, so he could be an easier opponent for me potentially.
But is he over the hill? He looked pretty good in the Chimaev fight. I thought he looked good in the Chimaev fight.
But now that, I feel like that's a little bit ago. Let me find an exact time and date on that.
A year.
That's already a year ago. So once you get over the hill, you get over the hill fast. And so, you know, he's 37 or 30. He's a little younger than I am. 37 or 38, I would say. And so, you know, maybe potentially he's looking at that fight versus, you know, a Shavkat. He's gonna be well known, but he's not. He's not huge yet. Or De La Maddalena is. He's big, but he's not huge yet, right? So,
well, Jack Della's hurt. Jack Della's hurt.
Okay, so he's hurt.
He's recovering. So it would be Shavkat if there was someone young as a contender. But dude, Usman's not washed up. Well, can we preface that you and
I would say he's likely over the hill.
Gilbert Burns has no issues with fighting his teammates Shavkat Rakhmonov or Ian Garry. Gilbert is currently scheduled to fight Sean Brady on September 7th. If he wins, he plans to call out Kamaru Usman for a rematch. Gilbert said the best scenario would be to beat Sean Brady, finish it quick, beat Kamaru, and beat whoever is the champion. Shavkat Rakhmonov, I don't care. We know we'll fight each other. We don't care. It's not bad blood, honestly. We train, we make each other better, but everyone wants to be the best. Even Ian Garry, we have a great relationship. He's a cool dude. I have nothing but respect. We always have fun. I was there for his fights, but if they offer, we're both going to say yes. I don't care. If we've got to fight, we've got to fight. May the best man win. Oh, we trained before? Yes, so what? We training. But I'm not trying to kill you. We were just training. I will call out Kamaru first. For sure I want that rematch. It's not that Ian Garry. For sure I would do that fight too, but for me, the guys that are in front of me, they're the biggest fights. Leon Edwards now has no opponent. That's a big fight. Kamaru Usman, a former champ, rematch is a good fight. Colby Covington too, he's another one. On Sean Brady, Gilbert continued the guy's tough. He's beaten a couple of high-level competition. Kelvin Gastelum, a couple of older dudes that were very tough. He went toe-to-toe with Belal Muhammad until he got a finish. He's a very tough dude. I respect him, but I like the matchup. When they said his name, I like it very much. Demetrious Johnson consoles his opponent after beating him in a Jiu Jitsu tournament.
You're good. Hey, you're good. Hey, it's no good. There's next year, man. Hey, this is for fun. Your life's not gonna change. You're gonna go home, keep on training, have a beautiful wife, kids, go back to work. This is for fun. There's more to life than win, I promise. Hey.
Dan Hooker says that he will not sell his title shot again. Speaking to ESPN Australia, Dan said, I kind of learned my lesson from my first rodeo, is to just kind of not do anything dumb this time around. I mean, the last time I was number 5, I agreed to fight Michael Chandler, gave Michael Chandler a shot. It was his first fight in the UFC. I flew to Abu Dhabi, so the other side of the world with absolutely no coaches, and went and fought him with a guy I've been training for 6 months in my corner. It was not the smartest of decisions, so I guess this time around, I'm just not going to do anything dumb or sell my title shot again. I appreciate my team and my coaches a lot more than I did before. I had the bad string during COVID. It was just obviously very difficult as an international fighter competing during COVID, especially in New Zealand, where we had some of the harshest lockdowns in the world. You could just see in those fights, I was doing it without my coaches and without my team. I guess when I just came back, it's a greater appreciation for the role that those guys play in my career. Sean Strickland had some words for Jon Jones and Bryce Mitchell. Sean posted this to X. He wrote, "You guys, I am not a racist. 100% racism is wrong. We are all equals. But I'll make fun of Jon Jones for buying drugs, and I'll make fun of Bryce Mitchell f***ing his cousin. The left will not take this from us." Nick Diaz had a message for fighters who have been talking about him recently. Nick was scheduled to fight Vicente Luque. However, the fight was postponed due to a travel issue. Today, Nick posted this. He wrote, "Don't think for a second I forgot about all you little fighters who had a lot of to say about me. I'm going to hunt all you down one at a time after I'm done with this guy." In Nick's Instagram comments, this user wrote, "I'm surprised the fight hasn't been rescheduled yet." Nick replied, "Don't blink." Jon Jones responded to a bunch of posts on X earlier this morning. Jon responded to PED accusations and said he'd absolutely beat Tom Aspinall. This user writes, "I like you, I'll be honest, but the PEDs is a bummer." Jon replied, "Yep, worked my ass off to prove my innocence. Now picograms are legal in our sport. Honestly, none of that will matter in a few years from now when I'm covering my kids' tuition. You guys still laughing about what happened at the office. I'm outside on a golf cart." This user writes, "You should fight him. He's living rent-free in your brain." Jon said, "LOL, on the biggest night of his life, in front of his home country. What name comes out of his mouth? That's right, mine." This user writes, "LMAO, you think you can beat him though?" Jon said, "Bro, absolutely. I'm getting close to being in fight shape, and I'm weighing in at 245 now. He probably cuts weight to get down to heavyweight. The night we fought, he would probably weigh a solid 25 pounds more than me, 7 years younger, and I would still whip his ass like I've done everyone else. You guys can go ahead and believe the hype. I'll keep doing what I've always done. Win." This user writes, "So are you going to fight him or not?" Simple question, Jon. Jon replied, "You don't get this far in your career looking past opponents. Right now I'm fighting Stipe and I guarantee you'll be watching." This user replied, "I speak for everyone when I say this. You will not be watching." Jon said, "That's actually funny. I could just see you in a room where no one's clapping for you." And this user wrote, "Make no mistake about it. Your legacy will be stained forever if you retire without fighting the interim champion." Jon replied, "Maybe I'll leave you with blue balls, but my legacy will be just fine. I've done way too much work in this game. There's people around the world that's been watching me fight since they could remember. He would have to go and win like 10 championships at least in order for that to happen. The work I put in, the body of work ain't getting touched no time soon." And that's going to wrap it up for the news. Thanks for watching. For daily MMA news and content, subscribe to Full Mount MMA and click the bell icon to be notified when we post videos. Here are the 3 top comments from last video. The first one's from Jorge. It says, "Dana talking about Jon Jones being the pound-for-pound best fighter instead of talking about his other incredible and active fighters is getting really tiresome and annoying." The second one says, "Dana's headstone will read Jon Jones is pound-for-pound #1. And the final one's from I Don't Have a Name. It says, "People who sleep good at night don't always have to convince people I sleep good at night." Those were the 3 top comments from last video. If you want to be featured in the next one, all you have to do is comment down below. And if you missed yesterday's news, click the video on screen right now to get caught up.